Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll start with Mr. Martino. I'd like to thank you for joining today. I think sharing your personal experience after growing up in Venezuela under the Chavez and Maduro governments is interesting, and your perspective is quite welcome for your discussion. Could I ask you to expand on your experiences prior to leaving in 2016?
Yes. So, when I was a kid growing up, it was really a normal childhood in the early 2000s, meaning I went to school, we had a car, we owned our apartment, we had electricity, water, we bought what we needed for food. We went on vacation to Margarita Island, great hotel. I met many foreigners who traveled to Margarita. Maybe Miss Halverson has also been there and visited. I'll say, and then everything changed. Then we started losing power. Then we started having no water for days. And then we had to shower with buckets. Then, of course, going up the stairs, 5 floors, bringing up the food, then lining up for food. Then having to put your fingerprints in a scanning machine so that the government could tell you what you were allowed to purchase and which day of the week you were allowed to purchase it. Because then we ran out. Price controls, hyperinflation, not fitting enough cash. Venezuela might be the only country in the history of the world that had hyperinflation and a shortage of cash at the same time. How do you even have that? Because they printed the money electronically and then there was no cash. So the economy dollarized. And so that was my experience economically.
And can you share what Venezuelans on the ground right now are saying about the removal of Maduro? And in your opinion, do you think that we can expect popular support from Venezuelans to restore the democratic process in Venezuela?
Oh, wow. You had to see my phone the morning after the removal of Maduro. So I have friends that were even in the vicinity of the military bases that were hit. One of my friends, her window broke actually because of the blast. And they were very happy, I can tell you. And everybody was very much ecstatic. Now everybody is just expectant. People want liberty in Venezuela. They want democracy. People, it's a unified country. It's not a country that has ethnic, religious, or language, conflict like in many parts of the world or the Middle East. It's just a country that wants to move on. And they're very grateful for what the United States did. And they're very grateful for all the countries that are supporting us and people around the world.
Thank you, Daniel. My next question would be directed towards Dr. Johnston. Dr. Johnston, in a recent article you have written on...
Mr. Johnston had to leave early, unfortunately, but if you have questions for him, the clerk will forward them to him so that you can get a response.
Sure, I'll pass along the question and then, so I'll move on next to Ms. Halverson. Could you possibly describe the current scale of displacement from Venezuela and how it's affecting other countries in South and Central America?
Unfortunately, we do not have sort of absolute numbers. What I can say is that the trend is more towards people returning than leaving the country. So that means that there are some people who are still going abroad. We hear mainly that Colombia and Brazil are the countries that they try to reach, but we also do know that some people are trying to reach Spain, especially now that the United States has closed the temporary protection scheme that they had. So I'm afraid we do not have absolute numbers to share with you.
Okay, so perhaps you could characterize, or how would you characterize the relationship between, and for those that are watching, the UNHCR, which is the United Nations Commissioner for Refugees, how would you describe the relationship between that and the Maduro regime?
We here in Venezuela, as in any country, work with the states and with whatever government is in place. So in that sense, and I would say, in that sense, and especially at the local level, these service centers that I was talking about in order to provide access to documentation, to psychosocial support, are always organized together with local authorities. So we do build from that. And again, we do really very much want to contribute to a state-led response to the people returning to the country. That's how we can be the most effective.
Thank you very much.